Hello everyone, this is Benjamin. Today we're doing another game versus the Pablo bot, and I'm going to be sharing it with a few groups, so give me 1 second here to get it started. I'll make sure I can do that. Sometimes I'm able to, sometimes I'm not, and I think I'm able to this time. Hang on a second here. Oh, I'm not going to be able to. All right, let's get started. All right, let's get started. So I like to do puzzles first, just a couple. I think it's really good for everyone to do puzzles before game. When you do puzzles before games, usually your brain starts to work a little bit. It's almost like a small practice before like a test or something. It actually helps. So I'm gonna do about 20 and explain them. All right, here there's obviously the first thing you notice, the queen's being under attack. So two things, I always look for checkmate first, and I don't see a checkmate. The only check is here, and the king can just take it. So there's no like immediate checkmate, right? The next thing is captures. Now, if I take it, he can take back. Luckily, I have a different piece here, so that would be the answer, and I would be able to win a piece. I don't have to worry about my queen because it's protected by the bishop, and also this bishop can't do a discovered attack, which is a different idea. Like if I was going to go here, let's say this pawn wasn't here, that would be a check, and then he'd be able to take the queen and bishop. So it's like you'd still be up a piece, but it's kind of messy. So, all right, here is when you see a king and three pawns, there's a threat of a back rank checkmate. That's always something to look to be mindful of. They call this luff when you move a pawn up one, and it gives the king an escape route. But since they don't have an escape route, always look for back rank checkmates. You can do this with the rook or the queen. So right here, checkmate. This is the same thing. Three pawns in front of the king. Nothing's defending back here. The knight is blocking off the rook. So it's the same answer. So checks, captures, and threats. I don't see a check at all right now. This diagonal, there's nothing to get on it. Usually a bishop or a queen. In this case, neither can. This blocks off the queen. So it's not an immediate check. So for captures, well, right now the king's under attack. So the only capture I can do would be with the queen. I can't take with the knight because it's pinned. So after I take with the queen, if he takes, I can take back. And after I take, I gotta look at other options like the rook. But I wouldn't be able to take the knight anyways because it's pinned. So I don't have to worry about that. I have to take with the king. And everything's pretty well defended. So yeah. If I could take it here, that would be bad, right? Because he would just win the queen. But luckily, because the pin, there's no chance of making that mistake. All right, checks, capture, threats. This time they made what was called luff. In his position here, these are called holes, all right? And when you put a pawn in here, either in this square becomes unavailable to the king. So it cuts the king off. A lot of times, if you have a pawn here, you can make a queen and bring him in and do checkmate that way. In this case, it is a back rank mate. And he'll just defend this time and just take. Oh, he has two rooks, but yeah, same thing. All right, checks, captures, and threats. In this position here, they're faced off right here. So let's say I call it check, and he moves over one. Do I have I gotta basically find a follow-up for that? And luckily here, there's only one possible follow-up. Simple one, you just take the knight and it is attacking the king. I never really seen this pattern. I've seen them separately, but not together. So I guess, you know, when you learn them separately, you can put them together whenever it comes up. So it's check, he moves over, and then taking the knight, which would be a checkmate threat. You probably bring the queen in and you take the queen. Checks, captures, and threats. The only check I see that's extremely forceful is right here. He can't block it in any way. He can't take the queen anyway, so it's also checkmate. It's defended by the bishop. So that's pretty straightforward. All right, checks, captures, and threats here and here. And the reason I keep saying it is so like I want you to get it in your mind that that's literally what you have to look for every single time for each puzzle. It's actually really simple and it helps a great deal to have like a focus, you know. Otherwise, you're like looking at the pieces and trying to figure out what to do. It's like, no, let me look at this, or that, you know. And it's actually extremely helpful. And you'll notice all the puzzles are solved in that way. And the king will move, and that will be checkmate. All right. Here, the king is blocked off this way. The king can't go here. The only two squares available are these two. The only two are available. The queen can come in called check, and that check will be checkmate because it's also covering these squares. So whenever there's a lot going on, look at where the king can escape to and where the king cannot escape to. Is another good idea. And then from there, look at how can you take those squares away from the king and also put them in check. And in this case, it's right here. That's a very good. If you learn how to do that pretty well, you'll learn how to control squares better. And it's not just for checkmate. It's like for other things as well. You know, let's say for example, he's here and you want to move away. Well, how do you control that square? You just move the pawn up, and this square is controlled. The bishop has to move away. And if that's what you need for whatever reason, then that's how you do it. You know, you find ways to control squares. It's very important. There's checks, captures, and threats. This is the first. It's probably the only check actually. Lose the queen is check. The king has to move out the way. I'm assuming the king will move up to attack the knight, and if so, you can actually bring the queen in for check. And it looks like it's about to be checkmate soon. He only can go back here. It's covered by the knight, covered by the queen. You call it check this way. He moves over and checkmate. Okay, so it is a checkmate threat. So go ahead. I don't have to worry about anything else. All right. This looks a little weird. But you just basically do the same thing, right? It's worked all other times. Checks, captures, and threats. Now you don't want to take the queen and just trade. You want to be more forcing and go after the king. This is check. And this is checkmate. All right. Let's see here. Checks, captures, and threats. This check is no good. And this check is no good. Oh, it's not even a check. This is a check, but it's also no good. All right. So it's not checks. Now you look at captures. If there's any type of captures that may do pretty well. Let's see here. Oh, I did, by the way. I never actually showed this. This is my wife got this for me like over a year ago. It's a chess cup. Got it for my tournaments. I used to drink it every morning before a tournament. But yeah, I don't think I have. Maybe I have shared it when I first got it, and that was it. All right, so let's get back to the game or the puzzle. Let's see here. I don't see any actual captures either. The only capture I noticed that it's a little weird one is taking this pawn. It is a check, which I missed before, but it's a check. This knight is pinned by the queen, and this rook is defended by the knight. So in all reality, this capture forces the queen to take because you're just going to take the queen, and you win the queen for a rook. So I think that would be good. checks, captures, and threats. Let's see here. This is actually basically a it's like there's certain famous traps in certain openings that let me see this right away. You put the knight here, that's checkmate. He can't take it because the rook has it pinned. I've seen similar traps in the Budapest and in some attacks against the Caro-Kann in a way. But yeah, when you move the knight here and the king can't move because his own pieces are in the way, and the knight is pinned, and you have like a rook or a queen here, that is actually checkmate. It's actually really interesting. I'm sure the first person who figured that out was very excited for sure, because that's really looks really looks pretty neat. Here, you have a queen and bishop battery. So the check over here is also checkmate. It's just pretty straightforward. King can't move anywhere. Let's see here. It's been about 11 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and start the game now because I don't like the videos being over 30 minutes. So it's been about 11 so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do the game now. Let's see, play bots, Pablo bot. And plus it's gonna form up too, I think. And where's Pablo? I don't remember what his rating was. Maybe it was 1500. Yeah. Oh, 1600. Okay. I'll put random down. There we go. I didn't have a time control on it. That's fine. I'm gonna do the Scandi. I like the I'm more familiar with the perk, but I'm gonna go ahead and do a Scandinavian. I'm working on that, so let's see how will I do with it. I'd never seen this, the knight to c3, so because of it, I'm out of book already, so I'm gonna have to look at basically chess principles in the opening and so forth. So basically, there's a couple of things. One is developing pieces as fast as possible, and the other thing is controlling your center, right? So let's say I can justify moving up because he's moving the same piece twice. So it kind of allows me to get away with the idea of not developing immediately. So I'm going to look at that first because it's more forcing. And let's say he goes down here for some reason. I can actually kick again. And I'm not sure, would I like a pawn structure like this? If I have a pawn structure like this, my goal would be to eventually throw these pawns up and attack the queen side, right? So if I go up and he goes here and I play c6, I think I have a very simple plan after he moves the knight to basically storm the queen side because I'm already having my pawns advanced in that direction already. So that's gave me like an immediate plan. The other option is to defend, which if I do that, he can just kick my knight, right? And it gets a little messy. I can take, and he can take back, which normally when he takes, I take back, the knight goes, and I go here, right? That would be the end position for the Scandi, usually the opening part. If he takes here, and I attack, and he goes back, and I go here, I actually can get into familiar territory, even though this isn't normal. So I think I'm going to do that just to show how to transpose into something familiar. I actually found a way to do that. And he didn't go for it. So this is a way to defend it, which I don't like. This is another way to defend it. I'm just going to go ahead and now that I have an extra pawn, maybe keep it or just play e5 right away, right? So my first thought is to keep it. Now e5, if he takes, that's a check. And I don't get this fork because one, he's defending the square, and two, my pawn's in the way, right? So the idea of an e5 push doesn't work here. for those two reasons. So I'm thinking about just developing, just going ahead and play normal moves. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm super worried about the position. It looks pretty okay. And I'm gonna keep this pawn here because this knight is gonna have a hard time developing, right? Can't go here. He moved the queen here, so the knight's not gonna go here. So he basically kind of trapped his knight off a little bit. So if I defend this pawn again, he can't really do much about it. And if he tries to kick my bishop, I can just take it. So it looks like he's giving himself making it difficult to develop properly. Let's check, which I can defend it. I didn't really think about the fork, but it doesn't matter too much. I can just develop and continue, right? We both lost a pawn. But he's trying to be tricky a little bit. Let's see if I go here instead. Would that be okay? He can just get out the way. Yeah, so I'm just going to develop my knight and not worry about it too much. And if he comes in, I can always block off this piece with my rook, which is fine. So he did a lot of attacking moves, and he won a pawn back. But look at his pieces, right? That's all he has over here. And I have these pretty well kind of developed in a way. And so I think I'm doing a lot better than he is for that reason. And I can just basically castle very soon, right? I don't like this move for the same reason as before. So I'm going to go, and maybe I should just develop my bishop this way. I don't want to do it because he can take it. Oh, I guess he decided to go that route, which is fine. And he already moved his king, which I don't know why no one will really do that, but he did. So my idea would be to find a way to attack this area very soon. This is all open, which is good for me. I'm going to get ready, and yeah, let's go ahead and do this. That's a square that he can get onto. I can prevent him from getting on there, or I can just kick him, make him waste a move. If he goes here and I go here, he can just go back and I'll make him waste a move, which is fine with me. So I know sometimes people play this to prevent the knights from coming in or bishops. So it's a good idea to find out if they're wasting a move or not. Like if it's a bishop and I go here, then you can go back and maybe keep some pressure, right? But the knight can't do that. And he has to go away or attack. He can't like take a step back and still put pressure like a bishop. So in this position, this would be a wasted move, to be honest, I think. He might just be here to defend the pawn too. And I actually can come in to try to attack the square, but he's defending it. So I'd have to do something like this first. I don't know if I have time for it or not. He also has this going on. Actually, if he takes and I take back, I actually have attack here, but he has it defended twice. So even if I did that and attack here, I'd have to chase the queen away. So I'm trying to look for possible tactics. You're supposed to do that constantly in your games. A lot of times, like right now, there's no real tactics that exist. You have to look at possible tactics that are possible may happen. Because if you're not looking for tactics at all in a position where there is no tactics, a lot of times you can miss stuff or you can blunder pretty easily. So I like to look at like possible ways to attack, even if they don't exist currently, and be like, why it doesn't exist, why it's not there. It's actually, I like it to practice. I know a lot of masters don't really do that, but that's because they see the tactics immediately. And for me, it takes me a little bit of time. So I like to constantly scan for pretty much the whole game, really. So I know this is covered, so I'm going to go ahead and if I take, he can just take back and develop. So I don't want to do that. I'd rather just let him take it. And this is covering here, which is being defended a couple times. I can move up just to possibly trade it. If I were to do that, the end goal will eventually bring my bishop here and bring this bishop out to attack, so I can attack the queen. So I like that. I like the idea of booting up. And if he goes down, that's fine. It's not a super big deal, but then it allows him to make a pin. So let's say if I go here, it can allow him to make a pin, which I really am not happy about. So then if he were to go down, then I can play my h6. Before it was bad, this time it'll be okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. If he takes here, same thing. I can just take back. I'm gonna get everything ready for some tactics in the middle game. In the center of the board. Okay, I can take out the queen. And here, I actually, I'm gonna say I actually can probably try to take this to do this. But in this position, if I go here right now, he can just take the bishop. So to keep that live, I'd have to defend the bishop for this. I like that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and defend the bishop for that attack. Okay, he stops it that way. Call it check. He can block it either way. If I take. Yeah, everything's opening up. So if I go here, I believe that if I go here and I trade one of these pieces off for my bishop, and I take this pawn, I'm on the road to start, because look at my queen, rook, and my other rook. So I think that's a good idea. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Feels right. So based on what I've learned, you can take with the knight. I can take here. I can take here and call it check, and he can take it. I was going to take here first, allowing the bishop to come out, and then taking. I'm not sure what would be better. This here hits the queen. I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, I think this is, opening to king is always good. I wish this pawn wasn't here. That'd be like really nice. So how to continue the attack. The knight can help somehow, but if he pins it, well, he really can't. Okay, so if I go here, I'm attacking the queen. I can't attack this square because it's defended, right? So it's not like I can bring my queen in. We're about even pieces. If I go here and he trades, I'm helping him out because his king's exposed, and the queen's a really good attacking piece. I'm actually considering on just moving my bishop here, and I need to get rid of that knight because I want to get my rook in somehow. I can actually just take the knight now, actually. That would help me bring the rook in. Okay. I kept looking at different tactics in a way to get an advantage. There's no tactic to win a piece, but this right here actually would allow me to bring my rook in for a check and get my rook into the game, and also maybe get my queen active to attack the king. His rooks are out the game right now, so as long as I can keep the attack going, I would be having a stronger force than my opponent, even though we have the same amount of pieces, because he didn't develop his rooks. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do a faster attack, just to take advantage of the fact that his rooks are not helping him right now. So I want to make sure that they never help him. So if I'm successful in doing that, it'll be a very easy checkmate. and call it check. And now I gotta find the way to get in there, right? That's the idea. I can bring the queen in. I don't have this square because he has it defended. But when I bring the queen in and the knight, I think it's okay. I mean, I can just win a pawn, but I want to go for checkmate somehow. And when I bring my knight in, depending where he moves his queen, I can go back as well. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my pieces closer. Makes sense. Hit his bishop. All right, he's defending everything pretty well. So I'm going to bring my queen back and then bring my rook in. I mean, my knight in to apply more pressure on that bishop. Right now, he doesn't really have an attack against me, so I'm not really worried. All right. Here, he's pretty much all forced to defend, right? And if I move my knight in, I bring another attacker against this bishop, which, I mean, if I take it, it's just going to lead to even trades. And I don't want to do that, right? But attacking that bishop would make it difficult for him to move it because of where his queen is. And I'm just going to move my pawn up and open up, or I can bring my rook in to attack again. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and bring my rook in, I think. Looks a little better. Now, we did a lot of puzzles on back rank mates, and look at this, right? So every move I have to be mindful of that, you know? For example, if I go here right now, the queen can actually take this pawn and threaten to take my rook and also threaten checkmate, right? And I don't have an immediate check from here. So like if I did this right now to attack, I will be putting myself in danger. So that actually will be really bad for me, even though that's the fastest way to get it going, right? The other idea is move my pawn up. If he takes it, then obviously I'm hitting his queen, right? But also if he moves his bishop anywhere, so he can do the checkmate, right? Everything on light squares. I take. He can actually attack the rook. Well, I actually would be able to win the queen that way because it's check. Okay, it's fine. It's a little. It looks a little sketchy, a little dangerous, but I'm gonna go ahead with it because I like it. But I can't take it though. Sadly, I can with my knight back and then take it because defending the rook. I think I'm gonna go here now because he can't take the pawn and threaten me. So I can actually go here, and if he takes the pawn, obviously here he can take it this way. So now that danger is not available no more because I moved the pawn. And now I can go ahead and start taking stuff. I should have calculated a little bit before that, but it's all right. If I take here, the queen takes here, I take here. I'm still winning. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Now the diagonals are important here or here. After I call a check, he only can move here. So if I send the dark squares, I can go and attack. So because it operates like a bishop and a rook, it's really good for attacking for that reason. So now I can actually come here and call a check again. I can take this pawn with check. And I can just continue. He can sacrifice his rook if he wants because it's going to be checkmate. Yeah, so he has to do that. Um, is a check. I get my queen first, so it doesn't really matter. And I get it with check. I get a check in there too. So it actually really doesn't matter. I'm surprised he wasn't doing this pawn. Counting squares is super important. I've won lots of games by counting squares. I can go here. Normally it's like you have to worry about stalemate, but he has 2 pawns he can move. That's a good game. Okay. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully you learned a little bit. I try to explain some stuff the best I can for like some type of key ideas. So, all right. Hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna get going now. All right. Oh, no 0 blunders.